Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Purple Knights podcast. Today I'm joined by a very special independent artist. He is called He is the Artist. So, welcome, He is the Artist, to the Purple Knights podcast. And to start things out, I just want to ask you to give me a little bit of information on your background as a Christian R&B singer-songwriter and tell us about your latest EP.
I actually was discovered on Instagram by a producer from my hometown. I was just singing a cover song of Tyrone by Erica Badu, and he invited me to his studio because he loved what he heard. And from then, I went down to his studio, and he we recorded my first single, which was called Honey, which was like a neo soul kind of song. And from then on, I loved singing, but it wasn't satisfying to me. So I decided to do some soul searching, and I saw one day on television that T.D. Jakes was speaking, and I listened to what he was saying, and I loved what he was saying, and it inspired me to be a Christian artist and do what he was doing in speeches on through music.
Okay, very, very cool. I'm familiar with TD Jakes. I've seen him on various talk shows. I believe I've seen him on Dr. Phil quite a few times, and he's a very inspirational gentleman and very, very motivating. So I can definitely see why you would have been inspired to um, go down that path. So the music you make is largely Christian R&B, but you started out as a neo soul artist. You also do covers as well, correct?
Yes, I do. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And
So
and I'm so actually right now I'm very I get a lot of people would say I'm experimental type artist because I go into the different genres. I'm not just a neo soul singer anymore. I do different genres. I have a cover album. It had mostly cover songs. An album called Roots. It was like Americana type music, and I will definitely will say the bridge between all that is funk music, because funk music kind of allows you to be free, and that's what Prince was all about, which is what I love about Prince. He was a genre bender from his funk background.
yes, well, tell me a little bit about your background as a Prince admirer and being influenced by him as an artist as you are, and just tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, definitely. My favorite song of his is "I Want to Be Your Lover" because that was just such an amazing song. Of course, "Purple Rain," that's a great song as well. All his music is great. Uh, but just listening to him and seeing how different he wasn't your typical kind of like R&B singer. He was definitely uh, he was a genre bender, and that's what I loved about him the most, of how he just took the stage and he just made everything his own. And there was really no other artists around around his time that really made everything him like he did, and I just love that.
Right, and becoming a little familiar with your music, I was sent by your management team. I was sent your electronic press kits, so I browsed your music a little bit, and being a Christian artist as you are, I imagine that aspect of Prince's work resonates with you as well, because although he was a secular artist in the general sense, he incorporated a lot of spirituality and a lot of spiritual themes throughout his music. So I imagine that resonates with you not only personally but artistically as well. Is that right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He was definitely one of those artists that you definitely felt the soul of his music. You definitely felt the different messages in his music. Yeah, so I definitely um, yeah, one of my favorite songs of his is it never snows in April. I love that song. It was very deep. And you can definitely feel the different emotions that he brings to his music. I just love all his music.
Yeah, the spiritual connection is definitely there. And interestingly enough, about that song, "Sometimes It Snows in April," it was recorded 31 years to the day before he transitioned. So it's pretty unique in that respect. It talks about death and remembering those who have passed on. So it's a very spiritually moving song, I would say, and it's a good song to be one of your favorites, definitely, because um, quite a few people really do enjoy that song, myself included, and yeah, it's really really great. So, tell us about your um, latest your well, tell us about your back catalog first, and then tell us about your most recent music, your most recent EP.
Yes, so I actually started off last year with an EP called it was called Adam and Eve, and it was my first EP. Had my number one single "Boom," which was number one in on the South African music charts, or iTunes charts rather, and it was just a song about reflection and temptation and all of those type of things. I had three original songs on there. It was it was actually my song "Boom" in three different versions. It was called one was called "Boom," the Christian version, and then there was a song called "Boom Love" version, which was a non Christian version that just anybody could could definitely relate to. And then "Boom the Explosion," which was featured on one of Dave Eats mixtape, which was Dave East is actually a rapper for those who don't know, and it was actually a hip hop version. And I kind of just made that EP so just everybody could resonate with the Word of God, regardless if they believe in Him or not. Uh, that was my first EP. I had another EP called Roots, which was an Americana EP. It was all acoustic music and just was about my life growing up upstate New York, and which is very just country up there. They love Americana music, they love country music, and just living up there. That was during my early years was when I really discovered music. That was actually the music that I listened to when I was growing up there. So that was that EP, and then finally this year came and I came up with the EP, The Book of Mary, which is a darker EP. It's just about breaking free of those dark times in your past, like through sexual. Some people were sexually exploited. Child molestation happens to some people, and all those other awful things, and just trying to break free of those things. Oh, trying to break free of those things, and really just and pray about it, and just follow whatever God gives you, and just keep going.
Right, right. Well, it's interesting. Yeah, a lot of music nowadays. There are a lot of relevant artists that speak about the ills of society and people going through very dark times. And I don't know if you're aware, but um, Prince's Vault album that he recorded 11 years ago, "Welcome to America," just came out 2 days ago,
Yes,
and
yes, mm-hmm.
it's a very thematic album about um, the elite of society oppressing others and oppressing people and influencing them, as far as through mass media and all of that. So it's a very relevant, socially conscious album. So I can definitely see the connection between that and your your latest EP. Very very interesting stuff, and it's
So
interesting. It's it's
uh,
it's it's interesting that you mentioned Americana and country music as well, because that shows you're a very diverse artist with very wide open eclectic tastes, which I very much appreciate, because Prince was very much in that same vein as a musical artist. And yeah, I really appreciate you trying to get that spiritual message out there and trying to uplift people through your music, because I think it's very important, and I've always felt that music is a very the most pure and the most powerful spiritual conduit as far as, forging a connection with God or the universe or whatever you want to call that higher power. There are so many names, but the supreme being, God, whatever you want to call it. Music is that connection in its purest
Oh, I
form.
think absolutely.
I really believe that. And a little background on myself, if you're interested. I usually talk about this with all my guests because, um, I don't think many people have really wide exposure to people with disabilities. But I was born 3 months premature and suffered brain damage, so I'm in a wheelchair with cerebral palsy. But that hasn't stopped me from being a very um, intelligent and very deeply spiritual and deeply sensitive um, man. And I actually feel, in a lot of ways, my disability is a blessing because it gives me a different perspective on life and a different perspective on spirituality and the strengths that people are blessed with. Um, so yeah, that's just a little background on me, but I just wanted to let you know about that in case you were curious.
Oh,
So
that I think, and I'm glad that God is blessing you, and you're always in my prayers, and I just I just love those inspirational type stories like that.
thank you so much, and you're in my prayers as well. A big part of why I do this podcast is to connect people, primarily through the music of Prince. But not only that, just as a as a collective, as humanity, I try and do my part to uplift humanity as much as I can, through connecting with people online and all that. And the podcast is just an extension of that. So that's really what I try to do. That's what I feel my mission is to uplift people and inspire them if I can. So,
Yes.
and the podcast is a natural extension of that goal that I have. So, thank you so much for um, spending some time with us, and I'll definitely leave links to your music and your a few of your EPs so people can dive in and check you out and really appreciate you as an independent Christian artist. And the uh, the songs that I've heard so far are very very interesting. Yes, I would place them more on the experimental side of things,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's very interesting and very rare these days to um, find musical artists that sort of break the mold and think outside the box and go outside the box with what they do. So I very much appreciate the individuality and the uniqueness of your music and your talent. And I'll do my part to get your name and your music out there. And I really appreciate you joining me today. I know we had a few technical difficulties, a few little bumps, but you know,
Before we before we go, I just wanted to say that my favorite song off of the Prince's "Coming to America" album is "Light Years Away." That's my favorite one. So I just wanted to
yes,
say that.
yes, that's my favorite one as well. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. What what stuck out to you as far as that song, was it the lyrics or the music? Or for me, it's really a combination of both, but the lyrics especially are very, very deep and very thought provoking, and just this idea of this, you know society striving to achieve this um ideal, balance of equality in society where everybody's equal and everybody's, prosperous, and just sort of the idea of sort of a heaven on earth, or God's kingdom um, coming to earth is very, very interesting to me, and very, very thought provoking and very moving. So, what stuck out to you about that song in particular?
Yeah, it was just the truth of just about society and how we are striving for perfection, but that can never really be. It's like 1,000 years away.
Right,
But we feel like it's like we're doing it that it's achievable now, and it's just not that way. And so yeah, it's just very reflective, and what we're doing right now and how we can be better at society and not really try strive for that, and kind of just work on the problems at hand, and really in a realistic way.
right, right, right. In a realistic way that's accessible and understandable to everybody. And yeah, definitely, I definitely vibe with that. So yeah, it's a very, very deep album. The more I listen to it, the more I enjoy it. I know opinions by and large on the internet are pretty divided. Um, there are a lot of people that really love the album, and there are a lot of people that say it's sort of a below average album, and they're really not connecting with it. But for me, the more I listen to it, it's got that 1970s R&B, soul, really funk vibe to it. So it's got an old school vibe to it, and like I say, the lyrics are very socially relevant, probably even more in 2021 than they were in 2010 when the album was originally recorded. And yeah, I think it's a very, very solid album, and the more I listen to it, the more I enjoy it. So
Same here. I love it. I love it.
yes, yes. But again, thank you so very much for coming on the podcast and sharing your uh, love and passion for music and artistry, and also um, your spiritual strength, and just your joy. And I really enjoy the way it shines through. I really enjoy how happy you seem to be, and how often you smile. It's really refreshing. Um,
Oh,
so I really enjoy having a positive, uplifting person on the podcast with me. So it was a very, very much a pleasure and an honor to speak to you today. And
okay.
like I
Thank you
said,
so much for
I wish you all the best, and I will do my part to promote your music and your message on social media through the podcast. So, with that being said, where can people find you online? I know you're on Facebook and Twitter, correct?
Yes, I am. Yes. So I'm on facebook.com/sign love the artist. Twitter is twitter.com/ he freed my soul. And Instagram is instagram.com/signed love the artist.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. And like I say, for everybody watching and listening, I'll post the link to some of He Is the Artist's music, so you can check it out for yourself. And it's very, very cool stuff, very thought provoking, and very, very interesting, as you said, in the experimental vein. So that's very, very interesting stuff. So I'll be sure and share a few of those links as well as your social media links, so people can connect with you further. Um, and thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you
Thank you.
taking the time out of your day to talk to me, and bless you. All right.
You too. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. Thank you.
Okay, it was my pleasure. And with that said, for on behalf of myself and he is the artist, I would like to say thank you for joining us and watching or listening. Watching, of course, on YouTube, the Purple Nights Podcast YouTube channel, or listening on Blog Talk Radio or Apple Podcasts through iTunes. So thank you so much for being a devoted viewer and listener. And until next time, this is Chris Johnson. We'll see you later, everyone.